So
wow.
Now that we're adequately laughing at absurdities, should we?
Yeah, let's get into this story.
Oh gosh.
I mean, I'm stoked about it. This is great news, I think.
Oh man. Okay.
I'm hoping that. So now we see this. This is a story from the Hill. Fauci totally in favor of reopening country if done in an appropriate way, not in an inappropriate way. No, if it's done appropriately, he's saying we can reopen. This is amazing news. You know why?
Yes, it is.
We've seen studies. The lockdowns didn't work. We've seen studies that they may have made things worse.
Yeah,
infection rate isn't as bad. I got one. We're going to show it. We're going to show a study from JPMorgan did an assessment of all these different states. And they're writing fake news about hydroxychloroquine and stuff. It's the weirdest thing. But now that Fauci has come out, they've lost their, golden calf or whatever.
Okay.
That was the only defense they had, was that Fauci was tepid.
Look, Fauci is saying we should remain locked down. So, he's he's the leader, right?
He was the weather vane, yeah. So.
Yep. Now he's totally in favor. And he's actually talking about why it's bad. Check this out. The nation's leading infectious disease expert, Anthony Fauci, said Friday that he is totally in favor of reopening the country if it's done appropriately and cautiously. In an interview with CNBC, Fauci said the nation can't stay locked down, adding that irreparable damage and unintended consequences could ensue if lockdowns are prolonged, including risks to public health. It is for that reason why the guidelines are being put forth so that the states and the cities can start to re-enter and reopen, he said. There it is.
Yep.
Glorious statement.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Dr. Fauci.
Thank you. Finally.
He says, I believe this. Yes, Fauci says this. I don't want people to think that any of us feel that staying locked down for a prolonged period of time is the way to go. He said, adding that the nation had to do that during the virus outbreak's peak. I'm going to challenge that notion with another article in a second.
Okay.
He said that in general, he thinks most people in the country are reopening in a prudent way. Now is the time, depending upon where you are or what your situation is, to begin seriously looking at reopening the economy, reopening the country to try and get back to some degree of normal. I'm totally in favor of that if it's done in a proper way and appropriate setting, Fauci said. There you go.
Yeah.
Good. All right, let's see if we get this. There we go. Great. Now that he said it, I think we're on track. You've got weird holdout states, like New York, Michigan, New Jersey. They want to extend everything.
Yeah, 3 more weeks.
No, we can't do that.
Or 2 more weeks, maybe? No, like 2.5 weeks.
Till June 12th? Yeah.
June 12th? Yeah, come on.
Crazy length.
Why?
I think they're scared.
Didn't the state tell her she can't do that?
She was. I can't remember the specific details, but I think she was challenged by the legislature.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly what happened.
All right.
But I know in Wisconsin, he lost and he gave up. The governor there. What's his name? Evers? Is that?
Yeah, I think so.
Evers?
That sounds right.
So we got this study right here. Many U.S. states have seen lower infection rates after ending lockdowns that are now destroying millions of livelihoods worldwide, JPMorgan Study claims.
Wow.
There's actually an argument that the lockdown made things worse.
I believe it.
Look, you had...
It definitely did. Because it's not just fighting off the coronavirus.
Right. In terms of...
It stalled our economy out. Now we're going to have to, climb an uphill battle to get back into... they say get back to normal, but it's how is that even possible? Millions of people don't have jobs. They don't have jobs to go back to once quarantine gets lifted. That's the issue now.
There's
it's too late for those people.
Yeah.
The small businesses that closed permanently.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no normal for these people.
Exactly.
Man, that's nuts.
What are their options? Government
Go work
handouts? At Walmart?
Yup.
Great.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. If you were somebody, say, owned your own shop.
Yeah.
Now what's your choice? Become a mid-level manager at a Walmart version?
Yeah.
If you had a shoe shop,
yeah,
like an Urban Streetwear or something, they shut you down. Walmart's still selling all those clothes. Now you're out of business. You couldn't pay your rent. You get evicted. Whatever happens, your employees have moved out of the city. So you're like, I guess I'll go to Walmart and manage their shoe aisle.
Well, I mean, didn't you say Domino's is paying 6 figures for managing
Taco Bell?
Taco Bell. That's crazy. Yeah. So
that was
I'm
before
sure
the
jobs
lockdown.
are out there. Yeah.
Before the lockdown, the economy was so good. Taco Bell was paying managers $100K a year.
That's so good.
Wow,
that's really good money.
Could you imagine?
To manage a Taco Bell.
Seriously.
So, but
awesome.
these are people without degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, in many circumstances.
That's good money.
These are even some people who just got a job at Taco Bell out of high school, worked there for a couple of years, and then got promoted, and now they're like, well, we want to hire managers, so we got to be competitive.
Yep.
Boom. Economy was great. Not so much now, but the big corporations have all done really, really well. So the
really, really well. Didn't they make over 400 mil or something? 400.
The big box stores.
Maybe more. Is it billion or million? I don't remember what number.
Billionaires saw like a massive wealth increase.
Yeah.
It's so obvious, dude.
It's obvious.
It's so obvious. You know what's funny?
They took advantage.
There's like among the like libertarian conspiracy theorist kind of circles.
Okay.
There's this idea. Actually, it's not fair to say that, but this is where I've heard it from.
Okay.
Like anarcho-communists. I'm sorry. No, that was wrong.
Sorry, what?
Anarcho-capitalists. Immediately, my ANCAP friends are like, "How dare you?"
Oh gosh.
I'm gonna get hate mail from. No, but they talk about how the elites predict, and well, it depends on who you ask, but some people have told me that the elites orchestrate economic collapse. So what happens is the market will go really, really well.
Okay.
And then they'll, like sell really high, tank the economy on purpose, and then buy everything back up at really low prices. And then when the economy recovers, they now have a larger percentage of
everything
resources, right?
Yep.
So I wouldn't, personally go so far as say they orchestrate it.
Okay.
But insider trading is real. It's a crime. It exists.
I mean,
People know.
Didn't we see those like senators do that? Didn't they have like a meeting and then the very next day sold off millions of stock?
So there's a couple people.
Happen? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a couple people. One of them, it sounds fishy.
Yeah.
But then what's her name? Loeffler, is that her name?
Kelly Loeffler.
As from my understanding now, hers doesn't seem fishy.
Okay.
Because hers is like a blind trust, and she had nothing to do with whether they bought or sold.
Yeah, she's not planning on stepping down, so I don't think she has anything
It's
to
the
hide.
other guy, what's his name, like Burr or whatever?
Yeah. Oh, he was super fishy.
Yeah, his seems weird.
Okay.
But dude, they do it. Look, why is Nancy Pelosi worth millions of dollars?
Gosh, she scares me.
There's regular Joe Adam being like, she's a scary woman.
She scares me, man.
Yeah.
Why does she scare you?
Because she's got this look on her face that she doesn't care what you're saying. She's going to continue saying what she believes, and she believes it 100%.
But isn't Trump that way?
Even if it's wrong.
But that describes Trump too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to cross Trump either.
But the
for that matter.
You know what the difference is, though?
I don't know why I'm not afraid of Trump.
This is one of the weirdest things about the current state of politics.
Something about Pelosi, man.
Something about her?
Yeah, she'd poison my food, I think.
Well, so her daughter used this as a selling point for her mom. She's like, she'd cut your head off and you wouldn't even know it. And I was like, that's supposed to be good or?
Right. So she'd wait till I was sleeping. Exactly.
Yeah. You would
Trump
never
would
even
come
know.
at me while I'm awake.
Yeah,
at least. You know what I'm saying?
Nancy'd have to wait.
Trump would like walk up and be like, Adam, I've had enough. And he'd throw you the sword. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's a fair fight.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you.
Yes, just like that.
Yeah, I just watched we watched the Family Guy the other day where Peter fought Donald Trump. That was kind of funny.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen that one. That's funny.
No, but there's a weird thing about how like Trump flaunts his wealth. He loves his wealth.
Yeah.
And Republicans love his wealth. The conservatives, they're like, good for him,
Yeah.
And the Democrats like hide from it and apologize for it. Like
for their wealth, you mean?
For like, it's the weirdest thing.
I'm sorry,
like
I'm privileged. Is that what you mean? That kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know.
if people find out they had like a fancy dinner, they're like, oh no, like what do I do? And Trump specifically is like,
I'm having a fancy dinner.
Boom. Here's
Yeah.
the example. Elizabeth Warren has, she gets off a private jet, a tiny one.
Yeah,
and
that's
she immediately
right.
ducks behind somebody.
It's like hiding, yeah.
Wait. Trump pulls the jumbo jet up behind him while he's speaking.
During the speech. I know.
That's the perfect
He owns
example.
it.
Amazing. Yeah, you gotta own it.
Yeah.
So
people respect that. People respect
I respect
owning
it.
up to your. I don't want to say the word, but owning up to your S. You know what I'm saying?
It's like Trump saying, "Yeah, I'm rich and I know it," and Warren saying, "Oh no, they found out."
Oh no.
It's
They
weird.
know I'm rich now.
Yeah,
Or
we
Bernie
do.
just silently taking millionaires out of his conversation. Just the billionaires.
Just the billionaires.
But so think about this, right? In terms of how they've advocated for or against lockdown. You've got Trump saying we need to reopen.
Okay.
Apparently now there's like a quote. I need to fact check this one, but Trump said something like, "We'll never do this again. This can't happen." And then you look at what the Democrats have proposed.
He's talking about locking down, you mean?
Right, shutting down the economies.
Yeah, right.
It's not so much about it's hard to describe. Like when I say the Democrats, I'm typically referring to the establishment, vote blue, no matter who kind of people, including the politicians, their media allies. It's like that cluster of weird faction or whatever. Their attitudes toward lockdown have been completely asynchronous with the science, the studies, the economy, and it's just the weirdest. I can't imagine regular people trust them. I'm sure weird resistance types who don't pay attention do.
Yeah.
But in line with what we were just saying about how like the Democrats will pretend and Trump will own it, I think that's one reason why people, they trust Trump, even though he says outrageous things fairly often.
Yeah.
They don't trust the media. And then the media starts playing this game where every day they end up proving Trump right. The media is full of it.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you end up with Trump, and people would rather believe the president.
Yep.
It's crazy. I mean, there was a study a couple weeks ago that the general approval rate for the president was higher than the press. And
that doesn't surprise me.
there was a CBS poll that said Trump was more trustworthy by like 2 points. Here's the funny thing, like CNN immediately rushes out to do a poll on this.
Okay.
And then their poll comes out and says Trump is at 36 and CNN is at 55 or whatever. Okay, guys. Like, okay.
They just did the poll in their own office.
Yeah, they're like, quick, we need some numbers.
Quick, everyone who works here and
Yes.
gets paid by us, do this poll for us.
We need your feedback.
We also saw this story. What's the date on this one? I will not support. May 12th. Fauci tells Congress there's no guarantee that the vaccine is actually going to be effective.
Oh, wow.
Right. But this is a good example of what I'm talking about. They're out of sync with what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because I wonder now if we're actually going to reopen, even though Fauci said it. So
Jeez.
I'm all excited. Fauci's like, we should reopen. I'm like, yes. But guess what? Fauci said a week ago, 10 days ago.
Yeah, over a week ago. Jeez.
Over 10 days ago. There's no guarantee it's effective. What does Los Angeles say? What does New Jersey say?
Yeah, because it's a virus. We've known that.
No. They said we can't reopen until we have a vaccine.
It's ridiculous.
What, are you listening to Fauci?
Yeah.
They're not.
Right.
That's the weirdest thing.
Man, it's sad, man. Because, I mean, we know, we've talked about this, right? You can't get a vaccine for viruses because they'll just mutate. They just
No, you can vaccine viruses. You can't cure viruses.
Okay. Oh, I
Right.
see. All right.
So you give yourself the immunity by, giving you little bits of the, weakened virus or whatever. Your body destroys it, makes the antibodies. And
Okay.
I think that's how it works, right?
Yeah, so
I'm not going to pretend to be a doctor.
Yeah, I'm not. I am not, in fact, a fancy doctor
She's
or
lying.
any kind of
Well,
doctor.
we treat you like our fancy doctor.
Yeah, but a vaccination is it putting a little bit of a weakened strain of whatever it is into your body so that your cells develop an immune response to whatever it is.
Right,
And this is why the flu vaccine fails half the time.
Yeah, that's what I
because
was
it's
gonna
developed
bring
in
up.
conjunction with Australia. We never even get their strain of the flu, which tends to backfire because it's like, well, we were working with the
'Cause it's a
best we
different
had.
strain.
Exactly.
Weird.
So we got different ones in the U.S.
Huh.
So
I'm annoyed with Fauci.
why?
Are you?
Absolutely.
Why?
There have been a lot of conspiracy theorists, and there have been a lot of anger towards him. And I'm not saying the same thing. There have been conspiracy people who think, a bunch of stuff about him. And then there's angry people who are mad at him, because of his wishy-washiness. And that's what I think is on point. He says what in March? Don't wear a mask.
Right.
You're actually, tricking yourself into thinking you're going to be safe, blah, blah, blah. And then what happens a month later? If you don't wear a mask, you get arrested.
Yeah.
So Fauci has been wishy-washy
Some
on
people
everything,
get arrested.
man.
Some people get handed masks by the
Right.
cops, and that's a
Right.
whole other subject too.
Here's what I think. It really does feel like Fauci is just doing whatever he thinks is safe. That's why I'm annoyed.
Yeah. Okay. I can
Because
see that.
when these studies came out saying the vaccines might not be effective, a week later he goes, well, they might not be effective. It's like, did you just read the story that came out a week ago?
Yeah.
Then
Aren't
when
you supposed to be the leading expert on this?
Yeah.
He's
Come on,
supposed to be
man.
the one
Up on
setting
it.
the opinions on this.
Yeah.
But what it really does feel like is that he's waiting until the media says something that seems safe, and then he's
I
like-
don't like that.
He waits until the public has saturated what they said, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it is safe.
Yep.
All right, I'll say it.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So now that you're seeing a bunch of studies pop up saying prolonged lockdown is making things worse. We
Yeah.
got two studies. We got the study from JPMorgan. There was another study saying that 66% of people who were getting infected were the ones staying home. And it's obvious. For one, we're learning about vitamin D.
Yep.
But so the easiest way I explain to people is, listen, if you go out, you're less likely to come in contact with the same surfaces as somebody locked in a house, because in the house everyone's in a cramped, tight space.
Yep. Everyone's in the
Apartments.
kitchen, opening
Yeah.
the fridge, going to the bathroom,
Right.
like anything like that. Yeah.
So what ends up happening is the people who go out rarely get sick. But if one of them does get sick and they go home, so if there's 4 people at home and 1 person working, the 1 person might get sick. They come back home and now there's 4 at home people sick. So the people who are staying home are more likely to get sick because they're in close proximity.
Yeah.
So and then the people who live by themselves, for instance. So ultimately what the study said was more exposure to sunlight, less likely to come in contact with surfaces even outside.
See, this is exactly what those doctors in California were talking about. The video that kept getting deleted. That's all they were talking about. We need to be out there to expose ourselves to not just coronavirus, but all viruses that we hit up, bacteria that we hit up, because our immune system naturally is fighting it at all times. When you're locked in, like that's another thing into this study. When you're locked in, your immune system just slowly gets worse and worse and worse because you're not constantly fighting new stuff and building up the natural antibodies to kill them.
And with that being said, I just want to do a quick reminder to the YouTube person who's got their fingers shaking over the ban button, like just eager to. Dr. Fauci says it's time to reopen. Okay. All right. So
Fauci said it.
I defer to the doctor who said that he is absolutely in favor of opening up. So you can move your finger away from the ban button.
Yeah. Look at this article. It's Dr. Fauci.
Yeah,
Dr. Fauci said so.
This article is huge.
Fauci says so.
Mm-hmm.
That's
totally in favor.
Totally in favor. Check it out.
But that other article, though, I think bring up the other one.
The one about the vaccine?
Yeah, this is way more important. No guarantee that the vaccine is actually going to be effective. Did you hear that, California? Huh?
Yeah, don't stay locked down
until there's a vaccine that
crazy.
Fauci is saying might not even be effective.
Why are you saying California? We're in Jersey, and Governor Murphy just said
the
that.
same thing.
Okay.
That's right. Everyone.
Did you hear that, New Jersey? What else? What other states we got? Michigan, New York, I don't know, all those blue states, right?
So let me tell you guys something. This right now is just speculative. We went down to the Atlas gym.
You did say there's no guarantee.
Right.
It's a little loose.
Let me tell you how freaky things can be.
Oh, tell me this story. I actually know the story, but tell them.
Oh, there's a little bit more you don't know about.
Oh.
Yeah.
Saving it for the show.
We went down to Atlas Gym. We live very, very close to here. This is the gym that's made national headlines because the two owners refused to stay closed. They put up a bunch of social distancing guidelines. People were coming in. They were like, I think that were they doing temperature checks on people?
I don't know.
I don't know if they were doing that.
Yeah, they were being very careful though.
Very careful.
Yeah.
So the cops came, told them they were in violation, but then said, don't worry about it. Like, have a nice day. Then came back and issued a citation. Started issuing citations to people who were going in, and then arrested one guy briefly because he didn't identify himself. In the middle of the night, apparently something happened where the owners show up and they see health notice, like notice of embargo from the health department. And then they find that the bathrooms had been flooded from the toilets. So I'm assuming it's sewage.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's like raw, nasty. It's just,
Toilet
whatever.
Water. Gross.
Well, it could be more than water. And they said they found paper towels jammed in the pipes, but they don't have paper towels in their bathrooms. Why would they?
Yeah.
Like, I guess you could have those brown napkin things.
Yeah.
Because they don't have them, right? So when we went there, there's the building. It's like, if this was an overhead view, here's the building, here's the entrance, and then there's this road that goes like this around the back, and there's a cemetery behind it. So there's no way to get to there unless you hop the fence in the cemetery.
Okay.
And this woman told us, this is just what I heard from a woman, so maybe it's fake news, I don't know. She said that the other day, before the flooding happened, a woman had claimed to have seen ducks in a drain or something. And then like no one paid attention, everyone ignored her.
Okay.
But then the cops shut down the road that went behind the building. And then the next day it was flooded, and the drain behind the building had the drain cap removed, and apparently that's where they found paper towels. That could just be, hearsay. She could have been one woman who heard, gave a telephone. So I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying very, very much the opposite. This is just a story we were told from out in front of the building, right?
You're talking about like animals, ducks.
Yes.
Birds.
Ducks.
Yeah.
Birds.
Oh, she just saw some ducks.
Yeah.
In a drain that needed to be saved.
In the drain.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So
the
so then after that, the cops blocked the road off. This was we were told.
How convenient.
It was very
hold on,
nice.
hold
We
on.
must save these ducks.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And while you're there, shove some some toilet paper in
I
there.
have no confirmation the cops ever shut the road down. I have no confirmation there was ever paper towels found.
Mm-hmm.
It was reported on the news that the two guys said this happened.
Conspiracy.
I don't know. For all I know,
I'll say it.
Maybe the two guys went in and flooded the toilets and then came back in the morning and said, "Oh no, look, our toilet's been flooded."
Yeah.
The point is,
The government did it.
this is what people think and what they're saying.
Yeah.
So what I said was, all that matters is you said the police shut the road down, right? Okay. And then paper towels were jammed in the drain.
And the drain cap is suddenly missing.
Yeah.
So who knows what that means?
Yeah.
People will speculate for sure, and I understand the speculation will lean towards it was sabotage.
That kind of
But
sounds like it.
there's something else we noticed. When we were leaving, there was a white nationalist sticker on a flag on one of the light poles.
Yep.
It's like someone took I don't know what it's called, but it's like the paper with like the glue, and you like a bill,
like
a
a
poster
paper
bill,
mache kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Stuck it, and it said something about like you being a Western man and resisting.
It said which way Western man.
Yeah.
Which is a white nationalist thing right now.
But then there was a sticker that said
even
something like you let in immigrants and like you see what happens or whatever or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Like it's crazier. Somebody handed one of the owners a megaphone to use.
Okay.
And it had white nationalist stickers on it. And so then people took photos and started sharing them online.
So they trapped him.
Yep.
Well, that's a setup if I ever heard of one.
Yep.
Holy moly.
And apparently like some dude showed up screaming Nazis at them all.
And she's like, why are you calling us that?
Yeah.
No answer.
Think about how easy it is to totally discredit anybody.
Yeah.
Handing them a microphone. And
Here, use this.
And then the press takes photos and they're like, look at that sticker.
Wasn't there a "Don't Tread on Me" flag?
Yeah, there's a Gadsden flag.
Big huge flag on the.
But that's a revolution.
Front of
That's
the
an American Revolution flag. So,
okay.
That's
but
the
of
feeling.
of course, they try to claim the Gadsden flag as like white nationalist, which is
it?
Not even close.
No,
I thought it was more libertarian, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a flag of the American Revolution.
It's historical.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the snake. Don't tread on me.
Yeah.
And then you have the awesome meme ones. My favorite
I
one.
love them. They're out there.
So you've seen No Step on Snack?
Yeah.
My favorite.
And I've seen the base one too.
Don't.
Yeah, don't.
Just like a line.
It's a squiggly line that says don't.
my favorite is the one that someone sent of you. Don't tread on Tim.
Oh,
and it's
cool.
got a little
Tim.
beanie on the snake.
How cute.
It's great.
Tim.
It's great. I'll find it and post it later.
My favorite
it's
is
so good.
My favorite is the one that says "Don't cough on me," and the snake is wearing a little mask.
Good. That's
that is
good
the best
too.
one.
I like that.
My favorite.
If only they could have seen in the future what we would do with their flag.
their Navy flag. Their
They
noble
had no
flag.
idea.
But you know what? Let me
How
ask,
many memes?
Let me ask you a question, man.
Please
It's
do.
really easy to say don't tread on me and be libertarian when the country is tiny, the population is in a few million,
Good
and
point.
everyone lives a mile from each other. I understand there were still cities and towns and they were close,
yeah.
but it was a lot easier.
When it was just 13 colonies.
Yep.
Well, even then, it's really funny when I think back to the colonies. I'm like, it's funny that they considered all of this territory the colony when like it's one city on the water with like a few thousand people.
Yeah, basically.
But they're like the whole area. But
yeah, that's a good point.
Something's going to happen, and I think it's going to happen no matter what we want because of population growth.
Okay.
Like, how do you look, I want to wake up at 6 a.m. and go skate, right?
Yeah.
I can't. It's too noisy. Neighbors will get mad. So I can't do that. The police will make an ordinance saying you disrupt too many people, therefore you can't do it.
Okay.
So I can't say in that regard, don't tread on me, can I? Like the government's coming and telling me I can't ride my board. I'm not even doing anything to nobody. That's not fair.
Don't tread on me, but have some general respect for your neighbors.
But
is that basically what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying though.
But so look at it this way,
Within
like
limits.
in our house right now, we can bang on the drums as loud as we want.
Mm-hmm.
In New York, you can't do that because everybody's crammed on top of each other.
Yeah, a bunch of shoeboxes.
Yeah.
Stacked on each other.
Now that being said, New York is collapsing, and everyone's fleeing the city. So maybe
New Yorkers are going nuts. I've seen some crazy videos of what's going on in New York.
Yeah, I
People
wish I
are
hadn't
straight
seen
up.
some of those.
They're straight up banging on the corner, dude.
What do you mean? Like
oh,
that's right.
naked.
It's like, wait, what do you mean?
And banging on the corner. That's
Yep.
that's all I can say. But
Banging
that's
the drum.
happening. Like
Yep.
what? Yeah,
Lots of drumming
banging
going
the
on.
drum.
But no, you've seen
Yeah.
you've seen the
The
photos.
drum, quote unquote
the drum.
drums.
You've seen the video of them like jumping on top of SUVs.
yeah.
Doing that.
And everyone's dancing and yelling.
What is
and, like,
going on?
They're
It's
losing
falling
it.
apart.
They're
Yeah,
losing
man.
it.
Well, so here's the
They're
question I was
wilding
having,
out.
right? We can see that there's a tendency to where, like, as humans get crammed closer and closer together, can you reasonably demand certain rights when everyone's living on top of each other? Like, obviously, base rights, yes, but I can play music here and be noisy. Can't do it in New York.
Well, even just we'll go with the owning a gun. Like, you can't have a gun in New York City.
Is that because people live too close to each other? Or because...
I mean, I don't know. I know that there's people in New York. Like, a guy, for example, I was riding the subway, sat down. I was wearing some brand new sneakers. I saw a guy look at me, walk past me, step right on my shoes. And I was just like, hey, man, what was that about? And he looked at me and said, he like glanced down, he had a razor blade in his hand. He said, I'll cut you. Say something again. I was like, wow. And I just stood up and like walked off. But they're charged. They're the people in New York, not everybody in New York, but there's people that have aggression issues. Like, I don't know where he was at. I don't know what he was doing. I didn't even know like what I did to provoke him. I had brand new shoes on. Maybe that pissed him off.
Some people just want to watch
people in New
burn.
York. Yes, but imagine if he had a gun instead of a razor blade.
Yeah.
You know, he could have just been like, boom, and ran off the subway.
Happens.
I mean, he could have cut my throat.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Do you see the video of those dudes? There's like an Asian woman at a bus stop.
Okay.
And these 3 kids walk up and they're all laughing, and the kid drop kicks her in the face. It was actually a crane kick.
Wow.
Everyone called it a drop kick, but it was a crane kick.
No, that's so messed up.
Gotta call the
So
maneuver
messed up.
accurately.
Yeah.
Or you see the what's it called? The knockout game they do?
Oh my gosh. We
Bro.
talked about that, didn't we?
Maybe.
Yeah, where
I
they
mean,
kick the feet out from under each other.
No,
The skull crack challenge.
Different one.
The knockout game is they run full speed and hit you as hard as they
Just
can.
punch someone, right?
In the head.
randomly.
Yeah, as hard as you can.
Gosh.
So messed up.
What is wrong with people?
I mean, we're kind of steering, you know, but I'm talking about New York, like,
This is
you know,
New York.
it's a different.
Specifically New York.
True, but I mean, you could do that anywhere. You know, we're talking about rules in a city of people compounding each other, living all together. People can knock someone out anywhere you're at. I'm talking about rules versus.
Right. Except if you had a very, very tiny colony and you had, you know, the population density was like 10 people per square mile.
So everyone knew each other.
Not only and not right. And so if some kid was like, I'm gonna go knock out Mr. Johnson, he wouldn't do it. So now you're getting bigger and bigger cities. Humans can't know each other that much. They're living on top of each other. But it's not only that, there weren't that many people to actually look. If you had a murderer back then, it's like they go on the prowl and after one night find one person. Whereas in New York, these people walk into a building and there's 500 people running around.
Yeah.
Then go nuts. So it's like, this is interesting because I think Joe kind of mentioned this, Joe Rogan, when I was on the show about. I think you mentioned this. Is it a natural tendency of civilizations that when they're so old and been around for so long, they just drift towards authoritarianism?
Okay.
Like
China, for example,
but also their population density. Like Wuhan is a town of what, like 10 million?
Oh gosh,
that's a lot of
That's
people.
New York City.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's not even their
huge.
big
We never
city.
even heard of that.
Exactly. We never even heard of Wuhan.
I didn't. I can honestly say I'd never heard of Wuhan before this year.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if someone was like, I've never heard of New York City. Where's that? You'd be like,
I'd be like, are you kidding me? Come on.
it's not even one of the, like, what is Tokyo, like 30 million people?
Oh, it's something
Oh, wow.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it really?
It's
Yep.
so big.
That's huge.
Yep.
I had no idea.
Same.
And we think like New York is this big, massive city, and it is.
Yeah.
But to us.
Right.
And so you look at how China operates, they welded people's doors shut.
That's nuts.
Is that maybe because there's just too many people now? And then it's also like, I think it's a product of democracy. And this is one of the problems with democracy versus a republic, for instance. If you have 2 people and they cross paths and they get into an argument, you try to, you know, mediate. Hey, whoa. If you have 2 people and 1 person, then you have 2 witnesses against the 1 person. And guess who wins the argument?
The 2.
Now you have a big city where you have millions of people and you get 1 person who's sick and you get millions of people saying, lock them up. And so that's the tyranny of the majority. So you end up with these massive societies with tens of millions of people crammed into tiny spaces, and they all react like drastically and violently towards any threat to the system. Whereas if you had a small town somewhere, like when we were driving to LA, we mentioned this the other day, there was a town where they did literally nothing. No social distancing, no masks, and the lady just laughed, we don't care.
Yeah.
We're all preppers, we don't care.
Who was it that said this? That they tend to get more authoritarian?
Joe was asking that.
Okay, I have an
show.
idea. So,
Yeah.
because I just looked this up because I looked up Wuhan. So there's a city in China called Chongqing, and I don't know if either of you guys have ever heard of it. Probably not.
Nope.
30.48 million people.
Wow.
And that makes me
Jeez.
think that you can only control that large of a population, 1.39 billion, by being complete authoritarians. There's like, how are you supposed to do that? How do you give that many people freedom?
That's a
I don't
good
even
point.
know if it would work. So that's just my 2 cents.
One person
I think
wants
you
to
might be
play.
right.
One person wants to play the drums, and you go, bro. There's 1,000 people complaining about the drums.
Yeah.
They voted you out.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't play the drums now.
Yep, and we're gonna come and fix it for you.
That's the importance of a Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
Like if there was like an amendment, like we hereby the people guarantee the right to play drums, then you'd be like, I don't care how many people get mad. Constitution says I can play drums.
All I can think about right now is this whole social justice thing. It feels like the beginning because there's a few people that are screaming for social justice, and then, you know, enough people say, I guess that's something we need to make laws about, and then they make laws and ruin it for everybody and kind of like shut it down, and then slowly we turn into this authoritarian world where you're not allowed to do anything, and the government welds your door shut if there's a pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, China.
Definitely. But one of the weirdest things that's happening with social justice stuff is they're not even arguing the laws anymore. They're just like change the definition of the word.
Yeah.
That's
For real.
sneaky.
To fit the law that's already in place.
Exactly.
Yep.
So if woman doesn't mean biological female, then the law doesn't mean biological female.
Yep.
It's an end run around how the laws have been formed.
Really sneaky.
Yep.
I mean,
Really creepy.
when you look at it that way, it's like all laws are null and void then, because we can just change the definition of whatever we want to make
Second
it not
Amendment,
illegal.
bro.
Man.
It's like the language is you've got one thing the left always brings up about the Second Amendment is that it says a well-regulated militia, and it's like, do you know what any of those words mean?
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of arguments I've heard. One of the arguments I've heard is that regulated didn't mean controlled by the government; it meant armed, like regulars.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
I don't think this is true though, but I'm just saying, like, to interpret the word in a different way. To us, regulation is like when the government comes in and says, we got all these checked boxes and now you're operating properly.
Right.
You've been, you're under regulation. You're not allowed to do this or we'll come in and fine you.
Right.
But then you can look back and see and argue that back then, regulated meant you were equipped with the best weapons and like, the best military gear and stuff like that. So you
So
were
up to
trained.
date.
Yeah.
And trained, yeah.
But
Okay.
I don't think that's true either. It's just something I've heard. The point is, people will bring up what they really meant.
Right.
And then the left will argue semantics. So even though it's clear, as of right now, what the Second Amendment says, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, why would we even argue the language? Actually, Family Guy made a really funny joke about it. It was a cutaway gag where they mention, the founding fathers were clear or whatever, and then it shows a cutaway. And then they're like, are you sure the language is clear enough on the Second Amendment? And then it's like, yeah, what can't you understand? Everyone can have a pair of bare arms. And then there's bare arms on the wall. It's like, you can keep...
keep and bear arms. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
That's
the heck? It's perfectly clear.
Yep.
I have seen that actually.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And so as language changes, the amendments, will mean something different.
Yep.
Like eventually you'll end up with someone arguing infringe. What does that really mean? And then there'll be a court case and they'll say infringe actually means, and they'll say it doesn't mean the government can't make laws about it. It means there must be due process. So it's all about the arguments, right?
Yeah.
The founding fathers didn't mean the government couldn't do it. They meant that it had to be due process.
Or just
And
change
then-
the word of fringe or infringed completely to mean something else. Yeah.
Tweak the language.
Yep. Infringed, like inflammable, means it can be fringed upon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
Infringed
Yeah, I like
upon.
that.
Yeah.
Fringing. That's a thing.
Fringing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love how there's like archaic words that don't make sense anymore, like gruntled. A gruntled
I love
employee.
that. Disgruntled. Gruntled.
No, a gruntled employee.
Gruntled means satisfied and
Yeah.
happy. Yep.
Combobulate.
Gruntled.
Yeah.
Gruntled.
I'm, for the record, I'm gruntled.
Quite gruntled with this,
glad to
this
hear.
show and this podcast.
I'm glad to hear.
Hope everyone else is too.
That is a good word I've never actually used or heard before. Disgruntled, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.